Hello, this is the Provoked Prawn, and this is the Acer Predator Helios 500. This is an unboxing and review to talk to you about the Predator Helios 500, what it's like to use, how it stacks up against other laptops I've tested, the specifications, and the pros and cons of this device. Now, it's worth noting that this is a high-end gaming laptop with a price tag to match. And it is available in 3 different specifications, which we'll go into in a second. But this one that I'm testing is an AMD RYZEN, AMD Radeon powered device, which costs £2,000, $2,000 depending on where you are in the world. So it is very expensive, gives you an idea. The specifications of this model feature the AMD Ryzen 7 2700 octa-core processor, which is overclockable up to 4.1 GHz. An AMD Radeon RX Vega 56 graphics card, 16 GB of DDR4 RAM, a 256 GB NVMe drive, and a TB hard drive, and a bit more on the spec in a minute. Note the massive size of the power brick. It is ridiculous. And you'll see why, because of the specifications it needs a good bit of power to run. Now, this laptop is also available with an Intel setup if you prefer. You can get an Intel Core i9 or i7 processor. Obviously, the i9 is more expensive. And that comes with an NVIDIA GeForce 1070 GPU. You'll note that's not the latest GPU available because the 20 series has recently been announced. And you can get several laptops in the near future which will feature that 20 series card as well, 2060 for example. However, this is a powerful machine, so it's definitely worth considering. It is different to the other gaming laptops I've tested recently. If you're a subscriber to my channel, or if you've been paying attention, you might have noted that I've recently reviewed the Razer Blade 15 and also the Asus Zephyrus S. Those are ultra-thin, more ultrabook styled gaming laptops. This is a sort of more traditional beastly monster of a gaming laptop. And first impressions are, when you get it out of the box, is very chunky, very heavy, very plasticky, and quite cheap looking. However, as you can tell from the specifications that I've just been through, it is not to be underestimated, and perhaps proof that you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, because it is a very good high-end gaming machine, and for a number of reasons. Now, this is a 17.3-inch gaming laptop on the screen size, which means it's nice and big, which gives you access to a full-size keyboard and a very large trackpad, as you can see here. The WASD keys and directional buttons are also highlighted with a nice little outline, and it has features backlighting around the trackpad and the keys itself. On the rear, you have the cooling vents. Large cooling vents, and that's the benefit of having a gaming laptop that's chunky like this, is it keeps cool nicely and quietly. Problem with those ultra thin gaming laptops is they often run hot and loud if you want the good performance out of them. Another point of note here is you'll see that it has HDMI 2 and DisplayPort 1.3 outputs on the rear, so you can power up multiple monitors, external monitors, from this device with ease. Also, quickly worth noting that it has multiple USB ports, and the fact that it has those HDMI outputs means you can easily output to a VR headset like the Oculus Rift or HTC Vive with ease, which is a bonus. And you can see on the left side as well, you have an Ethernet port, which for me is a highlight, because it means you don't have to worry about the wireless. Although it does use wireless, and it does have the Killer DoubleShot Pro wireless support on it, so it does work well with wireless, and there's no problems there at all either. Now, as I said, I've been using this gaming laptop for 2 to 3 weeks, and it is comfortable to use for daily use. The only thing of note is that it is heavy, so using it on your lap for a long time results in a bit of leg ache. But it doesn't run hot, as I said, and it is very quiet. I was actually very surprised with how quiet this is, especially after using those ultra-thin gaming laptops. This one is capable of running its fans at a maximum of 4,000 RPM, which is very noisy and blustery, but it actually does some very clever work in terms of how it monitors the fans and runs them on automatic mode. Now you'll see the other highlights to this device are the 144Hz display. It features a full HD, which is 1080p IPS LED backlit LCD display, and that is with AMD FreeSync technology built into it as well. So like the other high-end gaming laptops out there, it runs 144Hz, which results in a very crisp display during gaming sessions. The only problem possibly is the fact that the bezels are very big, so that kind of takes away from some of it, but it is a very good looking screen. It also gives you access to a multitude of settings within AMD's Radeon software settings, so you can tweak the color settings and the display visuals with the Cinema Classic Enhanced, Home Video, Outdoor Sports, Vivid, Custom, all that sorts of things. You can also set your settings to maximize screen brightness or focus on battery performance and optimization, and that is a downside, so I'll go into it in a bit more depth in a minute. You can see here I'm just showing you what it looks like next to the Corsair Dark Core mouse, which is quite a large mouse. You can see just how chunky and tall this laptop is and how it sits on the desk, which isn't terribly comfortable for desk use unless you can get your chair nice and high, because it is a bit chunky. It sits quite high off the desk, so that's worth bearing in mind. Now if you're using it for a serious gaming sessions, you'll probably plug in a keyboard and mouse anyway, so that isn't necessarily a problem. And as I said, using it on your lap is fine, apart from the leg ache you get. But I think what you're paying for here is that high-end graphical performance, and I'm happy to report that it actually does really well. Now, using it running on maximum settings on Battlefield 5, for example, and it was running in the high 90s in terms of FPS really easily. Also plugging it into an external 1440p ultra-wide monitor, which is 34-inch, you can see here, and that was still doing comfortably 50 or 60 frames per second as well, which is pretty decent. This, even under this intensive load, it still manages to keep running nice and quiet. The automatic set fan speed is really good. I said the max fan settings you can adjust within the software, and there's a variety of different AMD software that you can interact with to change things like this, whether it's changing your video experience or overclocking for extra performance or whatever else. But as standard on the default settings, it just blows really quietly. It's barely noticeable, which is nice. Even when you're pushing it with a high-end game like this, an intensive play session, it still seems to run well. Also noted it's good at recording footage quite well, which I'll show you in a bit. In-game footage recordings, streaming, day-to-day work. It's just good for everything. This is, as you'd expect, a very good system that works really well. The fact that it comes with an NVMe drive as the main boot drive means that you get things done quickly. I did find that the system doesn't boot as quickly as like the Razer Blade and the Asus laptops. Not quite sure why. Maybe the NVMe drive they used isn't quite as fast, but having that extra terabyte of additional storage is obviously useful, because you soon find that 256 gigabytes fills up really quickly. In fact, after testing, just adding a couple of games from Steam library and some software, and it was soon filled the main drive, which is always a frustration with laptops. The other downside to this gaming laptop is almost certainly the battery life. Under normal use, and I'm talking everyday web browsing, working on documents, emails, that sort of thing, with the keyboard lighting off and with the screen brightness all the way down, you found that it was only getting about an hour and a half battery use out of it. The Intel versions, interestingly, are capable of running around 3.5 hours. Apparently, I've not been able to test that, but the actual official specs say that the AMD can only manage an hour and a half. I also found that you literally cannot use this laptop while on battery to game. It just won't work. It's just not good at all. I mean, even if you could, it wouldn't run for very long based on the fact it can only run everything on minimal for an hour and a half, so it probably run out within 20 minutes. So you really need to be plugged in all the time. This isn't exactly a portable laptop. You won't necessarily want to lug this around on a train anyway, so it's probably not something to worry about. What you're looking for, if you're looking for a really powerful laptop that you can use at home, possibly take with you somewhere if you're going away for the weekend or something, to enjoy that high quality gaming experience without the compromise you'd get with an ultra thin laptop, then this is probably it. It is, as I said, very capable. It has an excellent display that is visually stunning. 144 Hz is really nice. The screen is really nice. It's comfortable to use. It doesn't suffer with any FPS or lag problems. Now, I tested this not only on Battlefield 5, but also did some 3D Mark benchmarks, which I will link to in the description below, as well as a link to each of the specifications set up, so you can get a view of those and see a more in-depth detailing on the specifications. It performed well in all the tests, basically. As I said, it did in the high 90s to the 100s FPS wise on Battlefield 5, and in Shadow of the Tomb Raider's benchmark on all high settings, which you'll see in a minute, it managed an average of 71 FPS. The 3D Mark results were also good. It basically manages to perform well all the time. Now here's some in-game footage that was captured using OBS on the laptop itself, and you can see it's nearly hitting 100 FPS and runs nice and smooth when playing Battlefield 5. So there's not a problem there, and it handles these modern games well, and that is exactly what you want for the amount of money that you'll be paying for it. The keyboard, now you can change various settings for the keyboard lighting within the software. Keyboard lighting is split into zones across the keyboard, and you can change the colour of the lighting in separate zones to your personal liking. You can also set up profiles for keyboard lighting, macros, fan speeds and more within the software. And then you can change those profiles on the fly from the buttons at the top of the keyboard. There are 4 buttons, I believe, up there that allow you to easily switch profiles on the fly. Now this is the benchmark results from Shadow of the Tomb Raider. You can see averaged out at 71 FPS, and that's with everything set to high. And then some quick example footage from 3D Mark. And as I said, I'll leave a links in the description so you can see the full results from those tests. This is, at the end of the day, an expensive but very good gaming laptop. Hope you enjoyed this unboxing and review. Please like, subscribe and come back for more in future. This is the Provoked Prawn signing out.